Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89. Well, unfortunately, we've got some bad news, some more bad news with the Madonna Madame X tour. There's another show that's been cancelled. It's another opening night in a new city. There was a press release on October 22nd announcing that the November 12th concert, which is the first show in Los Angeles, the opening night in Los Angeles, has been cancelled. Now, the press release read, Madonna Madame X Tour Los Angeles update, because it's not a cancellation, it's an update. Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019 for immediate release, with the highly specialised visual and production elements, not just highly specialised production elements, it's a bit less catchy. Madonna's Madame X Tour at the Wiltern in Los Angeles will now begin on Tuesday, November 13. The additional 9 performances, November 14, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21st, 23rd, 24th, and 25th will proceed as scheduled. Due to scheduling limitations, we are unable to reschedule the November 12th date. Patrons who purchase tickets for that performance will automatically be refunded. We apologise for any inconvenience. So there you have it. There's another Madonna concert cancelled, another opening night, this time Los Angeles. Now, this is kind of weird that it keeps happening on opening nights. Now, the show was supposed to open in September. The first 3 dates for that week were September 12, 14 and 15. Now, the September 12, 14, 15 concerts were all cancelled. The September 12th and 14th were rescheduled for October 10th and 12th, but the September 15 show was cancelled altogether. So obviously people make a lot of effort to get to the opening nights and the first shows, and there's also the excitement and anticipation of not knowing what the show is going to be and being there for the opening night. So there are a lot of people disappointed, inconvenienced, people, because she's not travelling as much on this tour. People are travelling to see her. They're paying a lot more money for tickets than they normally would, because there's a limited amount of tickets and they're selling for a lot more, and especially on the resale market, as opposed to an arena tour with a lot more shows, a lot more seats. So it was very, very inconvenient. Now, October 7, there was another show that was cancelled, but that was due to illness. She had a problem with her knee. But October 15 and October 31st were also rescheduled. Now, these were, because the October 7 show was just a regular show during her run at BAM. But the October 15 show and the October 31st show were both opening nights again. So October 15 was the opening night for Chicago, and that was rescheduled for the 28th of October. And the October 31st show, which was the opening night for San Francisco, was it San Diego? No, San Francisco, which was scheduled for November 5th. So that's now 4 opening nights in New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and Los Angeles that have all been rescheduled, and they've all been for highly specialised and then highly specialised visual production elements. So what this means, I don't know, because originally when it was announced that it was highly specialised production elements, aside from memes being done, because it sounded like an excuse, people, I think, thought because, and I speculated this before, because she'd performed with the holograms in the Billboard performance, and just the nature of Madonna's tours in the past have been very technical, advanced, and very sophisticated and very complicated, that this was actual technical problems. But after the show was seen, it's very simple. It basically has a bunch of staircases and sets that move around and change position, and projections over them, and I think projections on screens in the background as well as the foreground. I don't think there's any actual TV screens. I think it's just screens that are projected on that are a specific material, I think, that basically pick up the light easier, so you can project over the cast and you don't really see it because it's a low light that gets picked up. I think it's similar to what they used. They use it in stage shows all the time. I think it's what they used with Superman when in the original 70s one, because they could project on a low light so you wouldn't see it on the actor, but it'd be picked up by the highly receptive fabric in the background. I think it's the same basic technology. So it's not that complicated. I don't think it's actual visual screens, but some people said it is, but I haven't seen any pictures that don't seem to show the contrast with the lighting and the the actual surface, because when it gets hit with strong light, it fades and becomes lighter, whereas a screen doesn't necessarily do that. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not that complicated. Some screens, whether they're projected or literal ones that just sit there and flicker on because they're basically giant TV screens, it's not that complicated. So I don't understand why they have to keep cancelling shows. And it's kind of different when you cancel a show in the middle of a run. It's not quite as bad. I don't know. It's just something about opening nights. So there's like four opening nights being cancelled for technical problems supposedly, and one that's been due to the knee. Now, when she announced the knee problem, I actually thought, oh, that's what it is. It's the knee, and she just didn't want to admit it. And the press release actually read that she doesn't like to admit she's injured, but she's a human being made of flesh and blood, and she just has to take time off. She can't do the show. I thought, well, okay, she was having problems with her knee. She just didn't want to admit it. Okay, I feel bad. So it wasn't really production elements, and fine. But now she's back with the highly specialized visual and production elements, and now the problem. And I'm like, what is it with your management that you cannot organize yourself to get your shows opening the date they're supposed to open? Is this going to happen all the way through the tour? Is it going to happen for like every city? So I think people who have tickets for opening nights better be afraid, be very afraid, and plan accordingly and get back up and get insurance if you don't already have it, because your show may be cancelled and it may not be rescheduled, and you may end up flying there for nothing. Now, my other thing that I was saying was, if you have a show and you cancel it and then you reschedule it for like the next night, that's fine. So I guess it's fine. If people are flying in, they're normally not going to fly in just for the night. They'll be wherever they are for a day or two. Mostly, I think I would make this plan so if the show does get rescheduled, you can go the next night. It happened to me with Christina Aguilera. She was pregnant. She had 2 nights, and I didn't go to the first night. I had good tickets, but I got better tickets for the second night, so I sold them. She did the first night, and then she had some health problems, and she cancelled for the second night. Now, I don't know why I use that example, because it was a different show actually. They rescheduled, they just moved the concert for one night. So if you do that, Christina, just remember that was the one I missed, not the one that was rescheduled. There's another one that was rescheduled. They just changed it to the next night, so it was fine. So if you're traveling, I live in Melbourne. I see all my concerts in Melbourne. I usually don't travel. The only time I ever travelled was to Sydney to see Madonna. I was going to do Brisbane as well for the Rebel Heart tour, but Brisbane sucks, and they rescheduled that concert, so I didn't do it. But it is really inconvenient. It is very difficult for people, and I mean, in perspective, it does happen on other tours. I did a little tally before. I'm going to do it again. The Virgin tour, there were no cancellations, but the London leg of the show, the UK leg of the show, was actually cancelled. Before it didn't go to the point of being ticketed or anything. Now, the Who's That Girl show had a couple of shows in Japan cancelled. Now, I can't find them anywhere, but I know from reports at the time there were a couple of shows cancelled due to rain. They may have been rescheduled, so they may not be counted as cancelled, but they referred to as cancelled. Now, the Blonde Ambition tour had 5 shows cancelled, which I think is the most out of all the shows, and there were 4 in June, which were just due to Madonna having laryngitis, which of course we all know from Truth or Dare. But she also had 1 show which was cancelled in Italy because the Pope basically said she's a hoe, don't go. So I think there's also a strike where people wouldn't actually work on the show, and then there were a lot of low ticket sales because the Pope literally stood out on his little windowsill and said, don't see Madonna, if you're a good Catholic or whatever, don't go. Now, the Girly show only had 1 show rescheduled in Germany for technical difficulties. The Drowned World tour had 3 shows cancelled due to illness and technical difficulties, although I think the September 11 concert was rescheduled because of September 11. I think they just did it like the next day, or September 13, I think it was. The Reinvention tour, no cancellations. Confessions tour, no cancellations. So that's our 60 shows, and Reinvention had 56 shows, because the other tours pretty much had 40 shows, because Virgin tour was 40, Who's That Girl was 38, Blind Ambition tour was 57, it was the first big tour, Girly show was 39, Drowned World was 47, Reinvention was 56, again, no cancellations. Confessions was 60, no cancellations. Sticky and Sweet was 85, which was a biggish tour, which had 4 cancellations, 2 for unknown reasons, 1 for unforeseen. And the the MDNA tour, there was 88 shows, their biggest show. Two cancellations, scheduling conflicts and laryngitis. Rebel Heart show there was no cancellations, although I know the first shows in Canada were rescheduled. So again, the opening night was rescheduled, which is why I was afraid to get tickets for Madame X. And also the ones in Brisbane were rescheduled from the end of the tour to in between the last shows in Melbourne and Sydney in the middle of the week, because they were weekend shows and they moved Brisbane to the middle of the week. And Madame X, now there's 3 cancelled shows and I think 4 or 5 rescheduled shows. So in perspective, at the moment, she still hasn't cancelled as many shows as the Blind Ambition tour or Sticky and Sweet, because she's only cancelled 3. But she has rescheduled them, and she keeps rescheduling opening nights. So if they haven't anticipated the time they need to move and set up the equipment and set up the tour, and this is going to happen every time, because if they've allowed the same amount of time and they just can't do it in that time, this could happen again and again and again, and that's a big worry for people. Like I said, if you've got tickets for opening nights, I think you should try and book another ticket for the next night, or prepare. You know, be afraid, be very afraid. I'm going to leave it there, because this is just supposed to be a reasonably short video, but I sort of want to talk about cancellations in general, because I want to give it some perspective and not try and catastrophize. She's cancelled more shows than this before, but this one is strange because it seems to be for opening nights, which means it could occur again and again and again for the opening nights. So I think out of scheduled 91 shows, this is her biggest tour, the residency. Residency style stays in different cities and countries. It looks like this could happen regularly. So, as I said, be afraid, be very afraid. But feel free to like, subscribe, or comment. I like comments if you think I'm wrong, or if you have any information about the tours and the cancellations. Please let me know. I like comments. Thanks. Bye.